Hello again. Welcome to our third session for fundamentals in web programming. And in our third session, we'll be looking at how you can deal with user interaction with your website. Remember, we said that our website has three fundamental sections or three fundamental elements, and these three fundamental elements. We looked at HTML, where we created the user interface, we created the buttons, we created the form, we created the text, and we saw how they can place the different types of text and how we can work with the different elements and how they interact with other elements. And the second section we looked at is CSS. CSS is all about customizing and creating a look and feel of your website. Now this look and feel involves different styles and setting things like colors, alignment, row height, having tables and defining if they have a line or not, and defining the different attributes of our different elements. Now in this third section we are looking at how we can deal with the interaction, with the user interactions. But first of all, let's start by understanding what we mean by JavaScript. JavaScript, as some of the people call JS, is a programming language that enables web pages to respond to user interaction beyond the basic levels. It was created in 1995 and it's today's one of the most famous and used programming languages. I remember we said that we want to deal with the user interaction, events initiated by the user. These events are like click, it can be mouse movement, you can be scrolling the pages and all that. So we are going to see the different events that can be user can interact with a particular website, and we are going to see if, let's say, a particular event has been initiated, how do we deal with it? If it's a page load, is there any processing of the data? And if it's, let's say, a button clicked, is there data being posted or not? That we are going to see how the different what we can do actually using JavaScript. These are basics, and we'll continue and extend further and see what we can do. Now, JavaScript can be implemented by using JavaScript statement. These JavaScript statements are placed within the HTML tags in our web page. These JavaScript statements, they are identified by using a script tag, and most of the time we find the script tag is between the header tag of a header section of a page, or it can be within the body tag, or even you can get it from an external page. Now, how do we write our first JavaScript code? Now, when dealing with JavaScript, we said this code we can have it within our JavaScript page. Now, as you can look at this example here, we have a HTML page, which within the body tag we have a JavaScript tag where we are writing the word hello. Let's first try this as an example. Remember, in our code we say that remember here we created a web page, and this web page we had a form and all that. So and our project folder, the webinar, I'm going to create another folder. Let's call it JavaScript. Let's come here. Let's create a new folder, and then we can call it JS or JavaScript. So here is when we're going, all our work that deals with JavaScript, we're going to have it there. So the first thing we're going to have is a new file, and this new file we're going to have what we want it to be. We will save it first, and this, when we save it first, we call it JS underscore hello world. So we're going to have our initial hello world here. It's a HTML page. In our case here, our JavaScript application, our JavaScript code will be running within our HTML page. It's not you're not creating an independent standalone JavaScript application. So first of all, we're going to see how it works within a HTML page. Okay, let's open a normal HTML page. HTML. Now, when using an IntelliSense editor, it allows us to, when we just start typing, automatically it helps to create. Now we have it has created JS hello world. Let's have a space. Yes. Now let's look how it's going to appear. First of all, go to this webinar, this JavaScript page, and open. Now it is empty, but you can see the title of our page here. It says hello world. Now let's have a header so that at least you confirm that it's the page that you're working on. Now because h1 we say hello world. Remember we said that when you open a tag, you need to close the tag. Let's refresh the page here. Notice this is what we have written. Now we want to have a JavaScript code. This JavaScript code, we are going to see that we're going to start with the script language, and then inside then we write the code we want. Now let's go to our code editor. Now let's start here. We open. So we start with the script. So we say language, script language. We say JavaScript. We use a shortcut here. So what you have said that this code, notice you say that we'll have, okay, these are our document, these are JavaScript code. The script inside our HTML starts with the word script. This tells the browser that to interpret whatever that is inside the script tag as a JavaScript code. And then we say the language that we're using here is JavaScript. You can decide to use many scripting languages, but in this case we're using JavaScript. And you can notice that we have created another tag here. This is a comment, so it's going to comment our term hello world. Let's see if we refresh the page, it's going to happen. Okay, it's there. Now if let's say I want to comment it, I say that see, then this is a comment. The comment is never printed. If I have a number of lines, what I will just do, I can select the whole of it and then it's commented using the backslash. If I use let's say that one, and then I say that let me remove this too. See what's going to happen. Now that one is an error because the words are not understood by these words are not understood by the interpreter. That's the word first and all that. But if I want to comment, this is supposed to be, I don't know why it's refusing, but these are all of this supposed to be a comment. Okay, let's use this one, the one that's going to give us a headache. Let's remove this one. It's supposed to be a comment and it's not ready. Now this is how you write a comment. Now anything document.write means that inside our page it's going to write the word hello world. Now the document.write is what we call DOM, document object manipulator. So remember, our web page is a document. Now we want to manipulate whatever is inside the document. So JavaScript, to be able to do that, uses what we call a DOM element. Now this DOM element, the word document right, it's a DOM element. This it means that in our document we want to write this thing. Now what you're doing is that this document of ours being an element, we are saying that we want to manipulate it by doing what? Writing something in it. You can use DOM element. There are a number of elements here. We have apart from writing, there are some others. Just DOM. We can write conditions and all that. Now this is how our script looks like. Now this script here, it's within our body tag. It's within our HTML tag. Within the body tag, we can have the same thing. You can have our script here within the header tag. You can just come here again. Let's have open script. That's how we have written. Now inside here, we see that we also want to write something. Document dot write. We say that header based script, so as to differentiate to the other hello world. Let's save it and refresh our page. You see here it has written the header based script. That's in our header tag, and this is the body. We can also have we can import our script from another page. Let's see, we have many types. So remember we have said that we have the header tag, body, and header sections. So in our case here, we're going to see, we have seen in the header tag how it works, and then we have our body. Now let's this is what the one we have written is in our body. Now I want us to import. Use an external file. In this external file, you just need the script, and then define the source. It's all different from what we have here right now. What we have here, remember when you started writing, we just said script and then clicked enter, but we never define the source here. So src, then we say that it's within our folder. We say js.js, or we just say javascript.js, so that at least now we differentiated from the others. So what we're going to create is here. We come here to new file, and that's a new file. What's the name? Let's copy just the name to make it easier for us. Then we save as javascript.js. So we want to first create a function. Let's call it hello world. In this function, we say that we give the word document dot we say that this will be the function for, we will call it, and then we see how it works. And then we say document dot write world. Say external JS. Notice that it's a good way every time that you write in any scripting language. When you close a statement, you use a semicolon, or depending on the programming language, use the closing let's say statement. In this case, we are using semicolon to close it, same as we do in Java, or we do in C++ or C, or even in Golang. We don't do that, but in most scripting languages we do this. Let's go refresh the page. Notice that even after refreshing is not appearing. So what you need to call that particular function, and to call that particular function, we can use it. We can use the current JavaScript inside the header JavaScript to call the hello world function. Let's go back to our HTML page, and here after that, this one document.write. Here we are going to call the function. We say hello world. It's a function, and then let's see what happens. Let's refresh. It's has written here, but you see it hasn't, there's not formatting that you've done here. We can add HTML code within our statements here. Let's do this. Let's say that this is external. It's supposed to be starting. It's supposed to start in a new page. So we put the break here. Then we say, and then we see what happened. And then we say that you're using H3, and see how if it's going to print as a header tag H3. Or you can even decide to also add some text. You say that you want a line, horizontal rule. Let's see. So what you have seen that we are using both internal within the page. We have one within the body, header, and external script. So now let's see another example. Like in our code here, we have seen that you want a user. We want to see how an event works. Now in an input type here, we want that when a user clicks the button, it opens. It actually runs the code within the particular function. Let's say like let's use the code that is here, and then do a little modification. Let's say that we have a button. Let's clean this code above. Let's clean this one. Okay, I want us to continue using the external CSS so that at least to make sure the code is cleaner. Say that we have an input button with the on-click button. With the functionality, we want it to run the code that says hello world. Notice that if in our case we have our function here, it's called hello world. But now let's add another one. Let's go say that it's called hello world. Here, put here hello. It's a function, so you have to start with the word function to tell the interpreter that this is a function. Now then we say this function is called hello world. Now in every function that we're creating, you have to have opening and closing brackets. Now within the closing bracket, the brackets here, you can have our arguments. For example, you say like you can have arguments, and this say that these arguments are either a string, or if you don't declare, automatically it's going to appear as a variable with a variable without a name. So let's say arguments like that. Then inside here we say that you want an alert. An alert is just a pop-up, and then now what we're doing, we are passing an alert. We're passing values to an alert that they are going to be displayed. They are going to be used when creating that pop-up. Example like this. This is an alert function. Let's remove this one so that it doesn't create an error. Now in our JavaScript, in our document here, web page, let's refresh it. It has a button say hello. You see, this is an alert. Let's say that this is an alert. Remember, this is what we have written, and this is what has appeared here in our UI. You see, we have called the say hello function, and this is what has been written. We can also call the hello world. Let's create another button. This button we say hello world. And use a break in between so that it starts a new line. Then we say that let's go the name of the function hello world. Good. Now let's run the code and see what happens. Yeah, let's refresh the page. Hello world, it writes the content here, and because of what we have done is that to say document write, it writes means that this page, it clears everything and writes something new. That's why you cannot see the buttons again. Now you have seen that there you have the different ways that you can write a function. First of all, you have seen that you can write it on the header part of it, where we can have even as functions there, and see how they work. Then we've seen how we can write in the body tag. We have seen the document.write hello world, how it works. And also the last one is importing from a different page. This is external file. So what we'll do, we'll be creating writing our code inside the actually from the external page. Now that we have seen how it works, JavaScript is like any programming language. It deals with what we call variables. The variables are values that are used to hold data for a certain period of time, so that you can do something and process it. For example, we want to hold the username of a person, hold a number, or hold a particular value that a user has inputted, so that we can process it. That's the time we make use of variable. Now, how do we declare variables? Variables are declared using a keyword var. It's a short for variables, but use that one to declare the keywords of a particular it's a keyword. This keyword helps the interpreter to identify that whatever you have written, it's something that is going to be used for a shorter period of time and it is required to use memory. These keywords, they don't require an identifier most of the time. The variables themselves, they don't occupy space unless they are given value. Like in our case here, if we want to declare a variable, let's use internal script. This is for now. If you want to declare a variable, you say that you use the var variable. So what do we say? Var, then we say something like money. Then we say, or you can say var name. Now, but remember, it's a good practice whenever you write any line of a statement, you need to close it. In this case that we have a variable name, we need to close our statement there, so to indicate that this is where the statement ends. Now, when you declare variable, you don't need to identify the type. Now, this type, but we can still identify the type by giving it assigning it a value. For example, we say var fname, meaning first name, equals to Isaac. So what we have done is that you have said that the fname is a variable, that means that holds a string called Isaac. Or we can have a var age, we give it 40. So automatically the interpreter is going to know that age here, it holds an integer of value 40. So this is how we really assign the data type. You can assign data type when you're using it, or you can assign when you're declaring it. For example, if you want it to have initialize it using a figure or a string, you need to do that when you're declaring the variable. If you want to initialize on the run, you can still do that. For example, money and name, you're initializing on the run, but fname and age, you've initialized on declaration. Yes, let's continue. Now you can also declare variables in the same line, and this is going to work. Mostly you don't know how to declare variables. It can be variables of different data types, but still they'll be identified. For example, in this case, let's come here. We say var class equals to class 1. We can add another one, course. You can use 10. All these are valid declarations. Now let's see, how do you declare variables? Now you've seen that you can declare them on initialization. You can give them values on initialization and determine what kind of data type is held by the document. But remember, var is a keyword. So the keyword, we have various keywords that JavaScript has that you cannot use when declaring variables. We are going to see them now. How do you declare variables? Variables, there are different types of variables. We have what we call local variables and global variables. When you say global variables, it means that our variables can be defined anywhere in our JavaScript, can be used in anywhere in our JavaScript code, and can be accessed anywhere. But local variables are variables which are actually accessed within a particular function. So in our case here, let's create this function. Let's say let's use let's declare let's say var global. Let's say this is it's a string. This is a JavaScript code. Then we close. Then we create a function as a function variable underscore types. Say it doesn't have any arguments. Now here we're going to use let's say we declare a local variable. Say loc var. We say let's have it as a same version 1.2 like that. So we want to write we want to write the content document dot write. So we want these strings to be written. So actually don't do that. We'll say we want the global it's called global var. Let's concatenate our string. We want it to be written in one line, and then we say loc var like that, and then close. Now in our HTML page, let's refresh and see. Now remember, it's a function. Our function we haven't called it, so we need to go back to our code again, create let's copy this just input, this button, and then initiate. We say we want to call our class variable types. Let's see. Let's refresh here. Our pages, we have the button variable types. When you click, let's see what's wrong. You see the variable types. So click. And click. Let's use can use a lot. Let's see what it has to offer. I don't know what's happening. Yes. Let's see. Okay, let's try and move this code to the global variable. This is a alert function. This is what we wanted to look at. This is a JavaScript code version 1.2 and all that. Remember, this is what we had written. This is an alert function. Remember now what we have done, we have concatenated the two, the global variable and all that. So this global variable can be accessed by any function that we have written here. For example, hello world, then we concatenate here like that. We actually commented on the code, so let's see. Let's refresh. This is an alert function. Hello world, this is a JavaScript code. This is what this JavaScript code. It's HTML. It's actually it's a global variable. Have been accessed by another function. Let's continue. So these are the different scopes. Now we have different reserved words. These are keywords used within the program, used within. We have, for example, we have abstract, boolean, case, all that. Like boolean, we use it when you're declaring a variables. If-else statement, enum to create an enum. Finally, when you're using a switch statement. Finally, also in a switch statement. Function, we have seen that when you're creating a function. And you will see as we continue where each and every one is used. These methods, and some of them are actually attributes or can be used as attributes for different objects. Now, what do you mean by the JavaScript operators? An operator is what you call something that it allows us to do one or two things within our code. For example, if you're doing mathematical, we have arithmetic operators. If you are comparing a value with another one, we have comparative operators. We have logical, we have assignment and conditional or ternary operators. Now let's see how various examples of arithmetic operators. Arithmetic operators are used on numbers, or what we call literals or variables. Now, for example, if you want to combine one or two variables, we use an addition one. Now, these variables can be strings or can be numbers, can be actually numbers. For example, if you want to add A and B, we use this one, an operator. Let's try the different examples and we see how they work. We'll use addition, subtraction, multiplication, and so. Now we are going to put it within a function so that it becomes easier for us. We are going to use now let's create another create another JavaScript file. We say let's call it a folder. Let's add a folder. Call it arithmetic. Where? Oh, let's call it arithmetics. Inside arithmetic, we have a file. This file let's first save it first of all. Let's just call it index.html. Then we say index.html, we say HTML. In this HTML, say let's just say arithmetic operator. So here we're going to have our arithmetic operations within our code here. Let's open just a script. Let's use just a body script, and then here we have our variables. So we have variable. We have a variable A which has value, let's say 620 as an integer. We have a variable B which has 12 as a variable. Let's have a variable F name which stores the first name of a person. So we're going to say John. And then we have another variable L name, which is going to serve a string, which is the name of our John Doe, and the record is available. So if let's say we want to do addition, say document.write, we say we want A plus B, and let's see what's going to happen. If we refresh our page, let's go here, Javascript is open our limit 632. What we have done addition of 620 plus 632. But let's say for us to be able to know what's happening, we say that let's have a string here. We say we say that we can have a header, it for, let's say addition, that's what we're doing, h4, and then we say that what are we adding, A holds, and this also the addition sign can be used for concatenation. Let's see what happens. You say B holds B. Let's see. So let's skip this one. Actually, you can just leave it that way and see what happens. Actually, it's let's leave it that way. So let's refresh this page. See, holds. We need to terminate the statement, the line. Remember, let's starting from here, because this is what it's scripted, so it's not going to automatically know that's our end of our line. So we need to start. We have put a line termination there. Let's refresh and see. Var A holds 620, var B holds 12. Addition of A, B, because it's 32. So what we've done is addition. Let's say use multiplication and see. We're going to use the same thing. This one is coming here below. So what we'll say is that we can just say that it pinches and sets the new line. You see that is multiplication. Let's see how it and multiply that. Also do something else apart from multiplication. Say division. Let's say division. This is a multiplication, and then B division of A, like that. And then apart from division, we also see concatenation, and then that's how those. Let's see concatenation. So we are saying instead of A, B, we are saying we want A plus. Now let's create, because we want to add the strings here, we create a string. It's supposed to be L name. We want to concatenate our names. and good to know what fname holds, name holds, and then we can do the concatenation. Let's refresh our page and see how things have happened. We have fname holds though. It seems we have an error, so let's go back to our code here. You see lname, by lname. So what it says here, fname holds though. It's supposed to be John Doe. Oh, yes, it's supposed to be. Now this is a concatenation. This we have done a division, we have done a multiplication, and this is an addition. So apart from this is how we deal with the variables, and we use the various arithmetic functions to deal with it. We can have what we call assignment. Now the assignment is used actually to assign a value. You've seen that when we are declaring a variable, when you have said that fname equals to John Doe, that was an assignment. We are assigning a value through initialization. So we have different types of assignment. As we are going to see, we have multiplication assignment, we have also the different types of assignment. We are going to use the same files, but we are going to just modify what it was. In our case here, let's go back to our project here. Remember, this is arithmetic. You can just copy the project, and actually let's create another project here, a folder, new folder. Then we say assignment, variables, and inside that we are going to use this one, save as. Now, so what we're going to use, remember this is an assignment operator. So what we are going to do, we're going to use the various assignments that we have seen. For example, when you see, we can declare A for multiplication equals to A equals to times B. This is a multiplication assignment. So that's what you're going to do. Or you can say this one. Okay, let's add from here. You see assign A value of B. So here you're going to say A equals B, and then you say that assign B a value. So you say you're going to say this will be B equals to something like 20. And then after we've done that, we say assigned A and assigned B. We see what new values you hold. Now we can remove this one, this other. These are going to explain how to mean by assignment. Let's come here. Let's open in this page arithmetics assignment. Let's open the page. Seems there's something that was going wrong. Now we can use the inspect element so as to see what is happening with our page. Now if you come to the console, you see what is supposed to be written, and this is telling us there's an argument that is missing, so we need to understand what argument. But in our case here, let's try and okay, let's see. I'm going to remove this one first. I think the error is there. Let's refresh there. Let's start with multiplication. We see if it's going to give us an answer. Let's redo slowly. See, maybe that was the error. Okay, let's see. So this is going to work. Supposed to be a multiplication. This is an addition actually. So it means what it means is that a plus equals to a plus b, and if let's say we want to do the subtraction, we can just do the same. A equals to a minus b. So we are assigning a value and saying a minus b, so it's supposed to give us something different. Instead of 632, it's supposed to give us something to do with 608. Let's see, it's going to do that. 620. Also, okay, because this equals to a equals to a minus b. So b is 12, so there is no addition that has happened there. Let's see another operator. So these are another assignment, multiplication assignment. Remember the arithmetic 744. Let's see if we have a division. It's supposed to be, let's see. Let's refresh the page. I don't know why the division and the subtraction are not working. Let's see the left shift, and then we try the exponential. The exponential will just use the multiplication symbols twice. Let's even just apply it right now. Let's see what it gives us. Now that's how it works. Now let's see what other, apart from this, the assignment and all that, let's see what else you can have. Comparison operators. The comparison operators are used to actually to look if the value, you can just use it to compare and see if the value is greater than that. It returns a true or false statement. For example, you want to see if A is equals to B. So what you're going to do, first of all, let's create a folder for that comparison operator, and then so that we can be able to have our comparison. We're going to use the same file and just change a little bit of things to save time. Let's see comparison. In our comparison, so we're going to maintain our variables as they are. First of all, we want to say is A equals to B. So we're going to use equal signs for comparison, and let's see what's going to happen. Let's open the file here at comparison and see. It fails. A is not equals to B. Let's check if our strings are equal also, because comparison does not only work for integers, it can work also for variables. A equals B. Let's see. It fails. And we can even use also compare strings to integer to see if they're the same. So we say is A equals to L. It's supposed to give us false because one is a string and the other one is not a string. Now this equal operator, we have different. We have the not equal, equal to, greater than, less than. If you have numbers and all that, you can use them. Then we have what we call the logical operators. The logical operators are used when you are performing a task. For example, if you want to compare values, and you want to also maybe we're using conditions at the time we make use of them, and but also you can use the logical stance to check if it makes sense. For example, we want to know if y and x is true, you get to see what the answer. Let's try and see if let's try one logical operator before to see how it's going to, if it's going to give us a response, but it's not necessary. Does not really give us most of the time doesn't give us a response. For example, if you say A and B, let's see if it's going to give us something, but it has given us 12. So what it has done, it's giving us the last value of our variable, which is 12. So it doesn't it's not going to work for just a statement, but when we use a logical explanation in a logical or conditional statement, it's going to give us a value. Now for us to be able to make use of things like logical operators, most of the time we make use of them in the loops. Now what is a loop? A loop is an iterative control statement that allows us to perform a task until a given condition is met. So mostly we're going to look at for loops and while loops. All these are loops, and in these loops, for example, we can decide and say that we want us to print a number of text until a particular condition is met. We're going to use for loop. In our for loop, we're going to create a folder called loops, and that's where we're going to have code. Let's make use of this. Let's create a folder inside a file and save it as default default.html. In our default.html, we start there. Then inside the document, we open our script. So that's where we want our script to be running. First, you're going to want a variable, which will be our starting point, variable I. So this variable, you're going to use it in our loop. it's variable I, so we're going to say for I equals to 0. That's our start, or that's where we're going to start from. Then we say now we have a condition. If I is less than 10, so it's going to continue. Then we say that we have an iteration I, like that. Now we're going to say document don't write loop. Then we're going to use that particular value of our iterated I. Now this is going to help us to understand how is it going to look. First, let's see. Let's run our page. It's within the loops page, and then okay, there's something that has happened. I'm wondering why for let's see. Same iteration condition. It's supposed to be working. Hello. Okay. So because it's not breaking, so I'm going to say that it starts by creating a new line, then we add plus I. See how it's up. 1, 2, 3. Remember, in programming we start counting from 0 and slowly iterating to 1, 2, 3. And that's where you will find that our first I is 0, our index is 0, so we start counting 10 indexes from 0 until it gets to the 10 index. So the first index is 0, 1, 2, 3 and 10, 9. So that's our for loop. Now what happens is that it first compares our integer, it checks our value if it meets our condition. If it doesn't meet our condition, it continues until that condition is met. But for a do while, what it does is it first does a particular task and then checks if the condition is okay, if it is met. Let's check while. Now the while is it's the same as it actually runs the same as our for loop. The only difference is that it's the iteration part. It iterates after it performs the condition. It's right our for loop, actually a while loop. You know that. Let's see while. We're going to have let's say we have two variables x. While say x is less than 10, then we do document dot write, and we say that okay, first here we're going to write HR, we create a HR here, line to description the two. Then we say that we start the break, say we say while loop condition, then we say plus x. Then we say that after you've done that, we say that we iterate our x, and this here, remember we have said x equals to 0. Let's see what happens if it's going to iterate or same. Now that's a loop condition. These are the two main loops that I've used. Let's see if you're writing something and you want let's say data to appear. What do? You use dialog boxes. Dialog, they kind of communicate or alert or prompt or confirm whatever user is doing, and this is most of the time they're very important when you interact with the user, and they make the site kind of a little bit user friendly. Let's open a folder here and call it a dialog. Now in this dialog we are going to have a normal HTML page, and inside that page we are going to have our dialogs there and see how it works. Let's open a HTML page, and now we can have it inside the page, the script side. Let's open here. Let's see. Check in our presentation, we have said that in our script we have a function, and this function is initiated by the user on clicking. So what you're going to write, let me just copy this example, and then we have it there. So we want to alert this, but after the user has clicked a button. So what you want, it's a warning. So you're going to say input name, let's say button, then we say it's on click. On click it calls the function warning, like that. Let's see what happens. Let's open the file dialog. We have the button there. Oh, I haven't entered the value. Value equals to so if I click, it's supposed to give me an alert. Capital. Now remember that JavaScript also is a little bit case sensitive. If you call a function that you have written in small letters, it's going to display differently. So let's see. That's why it didn't display, because my warning is in capital and they called it in small letters. Warning, then I click. Warning danger, you have not filled everything, and then it writes there. Now that's more of a warning. You can have a confirmation button. Let's see how confirmation button. It means that we're just going to use the same page to have a confirmation button there. In our confirmation button, we'll either confirm either true or false, and then it performs the task. We're going to have also the same thing. Let me use okay. In our body, started with the yes, like that. Okay, let's see how it's going to work. Click on me. Yes, click me. Do you want to continue? Okay, cancel. I say okay, continued. Let's refresh again. See, if I say cancel, not continued. Those are conditions depending on what the user has responded. Let's see the last prompt button, which prompts us to enter a particular value, and then it displays the value that you've entered. We're going to use the same thing that you'll be doing, the same page. So now this is our prompt. Let's say let's try and see if it is going to prompt me. This one is alert. This is confirm. Click that way. So let's see. So the prompt has an input input box where a user can enter content. Wow, you see, you entered that. Now that's a lot and all that. Now you notice that if you want to understand more about what we have, and our GitHub page, you'll see we have this repository called Learning Web Programming, and with that repository you'll be able to get content relating to web programming. We have a lot when it comes to HTML and JavaScript. In the JavaScript folder, let me show you what you're going to get. This is what I'm talking about. In the JavaScript folder, you're going to have you will see we have many pages relating to that. For example, in terms of colors and all that, and also dealing with objects, dealing with loops and all that. In some of the, we also have exercises. For example, when you create a loop, it has an exercise telling you what you are required to do, and you try it out. It has app.js. Mostly this one I'm going to use to see that. Check this particular page, the README. It's going to guide you on what you can do when it relates to JavaScript. And under this page, actually, when you open the repository, it's going to give you some guidelines telling you what you can do and what the page is all about, and also guiding you on doing one or two things in this particular code, relating to this particular code together. Now this is the content, and you can go through it and see if you have any question actually, or if you find an error here or you get an error, please we have what we call an issues page. Just push there and we can push your issues, and then we'll see how we're going to sort it out. Thank you and kind regards.